A cold night wind moved across the alien forest, carrying the smell of wet leaves and something sharp and metallic. Ethan, a human traveler, walked carefully through the narrow path, listening only to the quiet sound of his boots pressing the soil. He had come to this planet looking for rare herbs and peaceful silence, but tonight the forest felt different. It felt alive, watching him, waiting for something. Suddenly, a sharp scream tore through the trees. It was high, terrified, and full of pain. "Human, please, help my mom." The voice cried again, breaking with fear. Ethan stopped instantly, his heartbeat jumping in his chest. The scream came from the left side of the forest, close but hidden behind thick bushes. He held his breath and listened again. "Please, someone." The voice begged. This time it sounded younger, like a child. Ethan ran toward the sound without thinking, pushing branches aside, ignoring the thorns cutting his arms. He had heard fear before, but never like this. This was the sound of someone losing hope. After a short distance, he found a small alien boy standing alone under a twisted tree. The boy's glowing blue eyes were full of tears, and his silver-colored skin was covered in dirt. His hands shook as he pointed deeper into the forest. "Human, please help. My mom is trapped. She can't move." The boy cried. Without waiting for an answer, the child grabbed Ethan's arm and pulled him hard. Ethan followed, feeling the child's panic spread to him like fire. As they ran, Ethan noticed strange marks on the ground, deep footprints that did not belong to the boy or to him. Something big had moved through the forest recently, something heavy and dangerous. Branches were broken, and the smell of metal grew stronger. The boy kept whispering, "Please don't let her die. Please don't let her die." His voice trembled with every word. Finally, they reached a small clearing, and Ethan's breath caught in his chest. The alien mother lay on the ground, trapped by a brutal metal hunting snare around her ankle. The snare had sharp hooks digging deep into her skin, and her blood formed dark lines in the grass. Her skin was pale, her breathing slow and weak. The boy ran to her, falling to his knees. "Mom, I brought help. A human came," he cried, holding her hand. The mother opened her eyes slightly and looked at Ethan with pain and hope mixed together. "Please, help my child," she whispered, her voice barely more than a breath. Ethan knelt beside her, trying to study the trap. It was not normal metal. It was reinforced alien steel with a locking mechanism he had never seen before. It was made for hunting rare, valuable creatures. This was not an accident. Someone had set this trap to catch her. As Ethan checked the edges of the snare, he noticed symbols carved into the metal, symbols he recognized from old stories. They belonged to the Savage Hunting Clan, a feared group known for tracking and selling rare aliens to the black market. If they had set this trap, then they would come back. And they never left survivors. Ethan's heart tightened. They were running out of time. He tried to pull the metal open, but the trap did not move even a little. The child watched him with wide, desperate eyes, tears falling down his face. "Please save her. They will return." The boy cried. The forest suddenly felt too quiet, too still, like it was holding its breath. Ethan placed his hands on the snare again, this time pushing harder, ignoring the sharp edges cutting his palms. The mother winced, in pain, her body shaking. "I'm sorry. I know it hurts. Just hold on," Ethan said gently. But even with all his strength, the trap refused to open. Then, somewhere behind the trees, a branch snapped, loud, slow, and heavy. Ethan froze. The child grabbed his arm tightly, whispering, "They're here." Another sound followed, a deep, steady thud of armored footsteps crushing leaves and sticks. The smell of burning fuel drifted toward them. The savage hunters were close. Too close. Ethan looked around, realizing they were cornered. There was no easy escape, no place to hide. Only the open clearing, the injured mother, and a child who trusted him completely. The footsteps came closer, now only a few meters away. Ethan stood up slowly, placing himself between the forest and the alien family. His hands tightened into fists even though he had no weapon. If the hunters wanted them, they would have to get past him first. The bushes moved. A tall figure stepped out, wearing dark metal armor marked with the Savage Clan symbol, a glowing weapon was raised toward Ethan and the alien child. The hunter's cold voice broke the silence. Well, well. Looks like we caught more than we planned. And the scene cut there, filled with danger and suspense. Ready for part 2 asterisk. The armored hunter stepped fully into the clearing, his dark metal suit reflecting the pale moonlight like a shining blade. Ethan felt the child tighten his grip on his arm, his small body shaking with fear. The hunter looked from Ethan to the injured alien mother, and then back to Ethan again, a cruel smile forming under his helmet. "You humans never learn," the hunter said in a cold, quiet voice. "This is not your fight." But Ethan did not move away. Instead, he took one step forward. Placing himself between the family and the hunter raised his glowing weapon, the light humming dangerously. Ethan knew he could not win a fight with his bare hands, but he also knew he could not run. The alien child's desperate eyes were fixed on him, trusting him, believing in him. Ethan took a slow breath and whispered over his shoulder, "Stay behind me, don't move." The hunter fired a warning shot, the blast hitting the ground near Ethan's foot, sending dirt flying. "Last chance, human." The hunter growled, "Walk away." Ethan shook his head. "No," he answered simply. The hunter laughed, the sound echoing through the trees like a drum of death. But before the hunter could shoot again, a sudden sound rang through the forest, a loud mechanical beep, followed by a sharp metallic crack from the snare. The alien mother's body jolted as the trap tightened once more, causing her to cry out in pain. The child screamed, "Mom!" and tried to run to her, but Ethan held him back. The hunter stepped forward, aiming his weapon at the mother now, ready to take what he came for. Thinking quickly, Ethan grabbed a large piece of broken wood from the ground and threw it at the hunter's helmet. It didn't injure him, but it shocked him long enough for Ethan to grab the child and jump behind a thick fallen log. The hunter cursed loudly and fired again, the blast burning through the leaves above Ethan's head. The child covered his ears, trembling as energy bolts struck the trees around them. Ethan knew they could not stay here. He needed to get the mother free, or they would all die. He looked at the snare once more and noticed something new. A small glowing panel on the side of the metal ring, almost hidden, almost invisible. The boy saw it too and whispered, "It's the release." "But it has poison spikes," Ethan understood. The hunters had designed the trap so only someone wearing special armor could open it safely. But armor or not, they had no choice. Ethan crawled back toward the mother, staying low as the hunter searched for them behind the trees. The glowing panel flashed red, warning him of danger. "Do not touch," it almost seemed to say. But Ethan placed his hand above it anyway. The child grabbed his other arm, whispering, "Please, be careful." The moment Ethan pressed the panel, sharp spikes shot out, scratching his hand. Burning pain spread through his skin, but he kept pressing, forcing the panel down. He felt his fingers go numb, but the snare began to unlock. Mother groaned, her body relaxing a little as the metal loosened. The hunter heard the sound and turned instantly, shouting, "Stop him!" He charged toward them, his heavy steps shaking the ground. The child screamed, "Human, look out!" At the last second, Ethan grabbed the mother's arms and pulled her out of the trap, rolling aside just as the hunter's weapon struck the ground where she had been. The blast created a smoking crater, sending dirt and broken roots flying high into the air. The mother gasped for breath, unable to stand, her leg bleeding badly. Ethan lifted her onto his back, his muscles screaming from the weight. "Hold her tight," he told the boy. The child wrapped his arms around his mother and whispered something in his alien language. His voice shaking, Ethan ran, moving deeper into the forest, stepping over roots, pushing through heavy bushes behind them. The hunter roared with anger and activated a tracking device on his wrist. A red light blinked, showing their heat signatures moving away. He began chasing them, faster now, angrier now. Ethan could hear the branches snapping behind him, the sound of armored feet hitting the ground like thunder. The forest grew darker, thicker, colder, but Ethan kept running. His breath felt heavy. His injured hand throbbed with burning poison, and the mother's weight dragged him down, but the child's whisper pushed him forward. "Please don't stop. Please don't stop." After several minutes of desperate running, the boy pointed toward a large rock formation shaped like a broken tower. "Inside, there's a cave," the boy said. "My mother showed it to me long ago. It is safe." Ethan dashed toward it, hearing the hunter getting closer. The boy pressed a hidden stone near the entrance, and the wall slid open just wide enough for them to slip through. The door closed silently behind them, leaving the forest outside dark and echoing with the hunter's frustrated roar. Inside the cave, dim blue crystals lit the walls, glowing softly like stars. Ethan placed the mother gently on the ground, his chest rising and falling quickly. He had saved her for now, but the danger was far from over. They were trapped in a cave, being hunted, and the poison in Ethan's hand was spreading fast. And the savage hunter was not giving up. Not tonight, not ever. Inside the hidden cave, the dim blue crystals glowed softly, giving the stone walls a strange magical shine. Ethan leaned against the wall, breathing heavily, his injured hand throbbing with burning pain. The poison from the trap's spikes was spreading slowly, making his fingers stiff and cold, but he tried not to show it, because the alien mother and her child were watching him with worried eyes. The child moved closer and whispered, "Human, your hand looks bad." Ethan forced a small smile. "I'll be fine, don't worry," he said. Even though he knew the truth was different, the mother tried to sit up, wincing as her wounded leg trembled under her weight. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice weak and soft. "You saved my child." "And me," Ethan nodded politely, not wanting to make her speak more. His focus shifted to the blocked cave entrance, hidden behind the sliding stone panel. Outside, he could still hear faint sounds, the hunter's voice echoing in anger, the crunch of leaves being crushed under armored boots. The hunter was close, too close, and he was not going to leave without his prey. Ethan knew they didn't have long before the hunter found another way in. He turned to the boy and asked, "Is there another exit?" The boy nodded slowly. "Yes, but it is dangerous." The child pointed deeper into the cave, toward a narrow tunnel that disappeared into darkness. "That path leads to the old tunnels of our ancestors," the boy explained. "But they say spirits guard it." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Spirits?" The mother closed her eyes and whispered, "Not spirits. Old machines, old guardians, made long before we were born." Her voice trembled, as if remembering a warning from her own childhood. Ethan looked at the tunnel again, dark, narrow, silent, but staying in the cave meant death. The hunter would eventually find a way in, and when he did, there would be no escape. Before Ethan could answer, the entrance panel shook violently. A loud metallic bang echoed through the cave, making the crystals flicker. The boy jumped with fear, and Ethan stepped forward, placing his body between the family and the noise. The hunter was trying to break the entrance open. The cave trembled again as another powerful strike hit the stone. Dust rained down from the ceiling, and small rocks rolled across the floor. "We have to go," Ethan said firmly. "Now." He lifted the alien mother again, placing her gently on his back, ignoring the sharp pain shooting through his poisoned hand. The child held onto his mother, guiding Ethan toward the dark tunnel. The glowing crystals became fewer as they moved deeper inside, until the cave turned cold and shadowy. Behind them came another crash, louder than before. The hunter was almost through. The boy whispered, "Hurry," his voice filled with fear, as they walked deeper. A strange hum rose from the floor beneath them. It vibrated under Ethan's feet, sending a shiver up his spine. The tunnel grew wider, and the walls changed from rough stone to smooth metal. Ancient symbols glowed faintly on the surface, giving the place a feeling of forgotten power. The mother spoke softly, her voice echoing in the empty tunnel. These tunnels were made by our ancestors to protect the knowledge of our tribe. She pointed at the walls. Only the worthy were allowed to walk here. Ethan swallowed, wondering if he was worthy or simply desperate. Suddenly, the tunnel lights flickered, and a sharp metallic click echoed through the air. Ethan stopped. Immediately, the boy held his breath. Then the ground ahead of them opened like a giant mouth, revealing a deep pit filled with glowing blue energy. A deadly trap left by the ancient guardians. Ethan stepped back, his heart pounding. "There must be a way around," he whispered. The boy nodded and pointed at a thin stone walkway along the wall, barely wide enough for one person. "We can cross from there," the boy said, "but you must walk slowly." Ethan balanced the mother on his back and stepped onto the narrow path. His boots slipped on the dust-coated stone, and he pressed one hand against the wall to steady himself. His injured hand burned like fire, and he bit his lip to keep from crying out. The child walked behind him carefully, watching every step halfway. Across, a loud sound echoed through the tunnel, a deep metallic roar. The ancient guardians had awakened. From the ceiling, two giant mechanical arms unfolded. Glowing red with ancient power, they swung toward Ethan, moving with surprising speed. For their massive size, Ethan ducked, barely avoiding the first strike. The second arm swung again, hitting the stone walkway behind him and breaking a large piece off. The child screamed as the walkway shook under their feet. Ethan pushed forward, his muscles burning. He reached the other side and jumped off the walkway, landing hard on the stone floor. The mother cried out in pain as the movement shook her leg. The boy leaped after them, falling forward but catching himself before he hit the ground. The guardian's arms retracted back into the ceiling, returning to silence, but Ethan knew they only had seconds before they activated again. Behind them, from far down the tunnel, a new sound echoed. Heavy footsteps, metal scraping stone. The hunter had broken into the cave and was following them. Ethan stood up, breathing fast. There was no time to rest, no time to think. Only one choice: run deeper into the ancient tunnels, where even the guardians feared to go, and pray the hunter did not catch them first. The ancient tunnel stretched ahead of them like a long metal throat, glowing faintly under the dim blue lines of forgotten symbols. Ethan carried the alien mother on his back, feeling her shiver against him, her breathing weak but steady. The child walked closely beside him, glancing behind every few steps, his small face tense with fear. The air in the tunnel felt heavier now, as if something old and unseen watched them from the shadows. Behind them came the cold, echoing clang of armored footsteps. The hunter was getting closer. His heavy boots scraped the metal floor, mixing with the low hum of ancient machines waking from centuries of sleep. Ethan tightened his grip on the mother and whispered, "We must move faster." They continued forward until the tunnel opened into a wide chamber. Tall stone pillars stood in a circle, each carved with glowing alien runes. Blue mist drifted along the floor like living fog, swirling around Ethan's boots. In the center of the chamber lay a massive stone table, cracked but still glowing faintly. It looked like an ancient place of judgment, or sacrifice. The child whispered, "This is the sanctuary of trials." Ethan frowned. "Trials?" The mother lifted her head slightly, her voice quiet and shaking. "Our ancestors built this place to test those who wish to protect our tribe." Her eyes closed as pain washed over her face. "Only the worthy can pass." Ethan looked around, nervously, feeling as if the room itself was holding its breath. Suddenly, the pillars lit brighter, as if recognizing new life inside the chamber. Lines of light crawled up the walls, connecting the pillars with glowing paths of energy. A deep rumble rose from under the floor, shaking dust off the ceiling. The chamber was awakening. The child grabbed Ethan's sleeve. human. The trial begins when someone enters with fear. Before Ethan could respond, a heavy thud came from the tunnel behind them. The hunter stepped out of the darkness and into the chamber. His armor shining under the glowing lines, he raised his weapon with a cruel smile. You cannot hide forever. But before he could fire, something unexpected happened. The pillars shot beams of blue light toward the ceiling, forming a giant circle of energy. The floor vibrated harder, splitting into smaller moving platforms. The hunter stumbled, surprised. The ancient sanctuary did not welcome him. It saw him as an intruder, and intruders were enemies. Ethan watched in shock as one of the platforms dropped suddenly into a deep pit. He held the mother tighter, trying to find stable ground. The child pointed toward the far side of the chamber. There! That platform is the path to the next tunnel. Ethan nodded and took a careful step toward it. But a loud mechanical groan filled the room, and two giant stone guardians rose from the floor. Their eyes glowed red, their bodies carved from ancient metal and rock. They towered over Ethan, each holding long spear-like weapons made of glowing energy. The boy gasped. The guardians of the trials. One guardian stepped toward Ethan, its heavy footsteps shaking the platform. Ethan shielded the mother with his body, waiting for the strike. But the spear only pointed at him, not attacking. Only watching. The guardian was judging him. The mother whispered weakly, "Do not show fear." The trials demand courage. Ethan took a slow breath, meeting the glowing red eyes of the guardian without stepping back. His heart raced, but he refused to look away. After a long moment, the guardian lowered its weapon slightly, as if acknowledging his bravery. But the hunter roared in anger, lifting his weapon, ready to shoot the guardian out of his way. The second guardian turned toward him, and in a flash of blue energy, thrust its spear straight at the hunter. The hunter dove to the side, narrowly avoiding the deadly blast that cracked the stone floor. He cursed loudly, "Move aside, machines!" The platforms began shifting faster, making the ground under everyone unstable. The child almost fell, but Ethan grabbed his hand quickly, pulling him close. "Stay with me," he said firmly. Ethan stepped onto the moving platform, carrying the mother, guiding the boy, while the guardians kept fighting the hunter. Energy spears crashed against armor, sparks flying through the air. The chamber became a storm of blue and red light. As Ethan moved closer to the exit path, a powerful blast shook the chamber. The hunter fired at the ceiling, causing rocks to fall and platforms to tilt dangerously. One large stone crashed near Ethan, almost knocking him off balance. He gritted his teeth, refusing to fall, refusing to stop. The mother whispered, "You are stronger than you believe." The exit tunnel finally came into view, a narrow passage lit by blue flames that burned without heat. But before Ethan could reach it, the hunter leaped onto their platform with a furious growl. His armor cracked from the guardian's attacks, but his strength remained terrifying. He pointed his weapon directly at the child. "Hand over the mother," he snarled, "or the boy dies." Ethan stepped between the hunter and the child without hesitation. His poisoned hand trembled, but his eyes were steady. "No," he said quietly. "You will not touch them." The hunter charged. The chamber shook, and the trial reached its most dangerous moment yet. The next step would decide life or death, and Ethan had no choice but to face it. The moment the hunter charged, the whole chamber seemed to shudder in fear. Ethan stepped forward, planting his feet firmly on the shaking platform, putting his body between the hunter and the alien child. The poisoned pain in his hand pulsed like fire, but he tightened his grip anyway, refusing to let weakness win. Behind him, the mother whispered something in her alien tongue, a soft prayer or warning. Ethan couldn't tell. The hunter swung the glowing weapon toward Ethan's chest. Ethan ducked, rolling across the unstable platform, feeling the heat of the blast pass above his head. Stone cracked, dust filled the air, and the boy screamed for Ethan to be careful. Ethan jumped to his feet again, breathing hard, knowing he could not fight strength with strength. He needed to be faster, smarter, more human. The platform jerked suddenly as the trial chamber continued its ancient tests. Pillars of blue light shot up randomly, forming walls that trapped and redirected anyone inside. The hunter growled with irritation. This cursed place. He aimed his weapon again, but a sudden burst of energy from the ceiling forced him to dodge instead of shoot. The chamber was testing everyone, friend and enemy alike. Ethan ran toward a nearby pillar, using it as cover as energy blasts collided behind him. The boy helped support his mother. Watching Ethan with wide, fearful eyes, he whispered, "Human. Don't die. Please don't die." Ethan felt those words like a flame in his chest, giving him strength he didn't know he had. He noticed something new. Each pillar had symbols glowing on its surface, symbols that changed whenever someone stepped near them. When Ethan touched one by accident, the glowing lines shifted from blue to bright white. A deep hum filled the air, and the floor beneath the hunter collapsed suddenly. The hunter fell halfway into a pit, roaring in anger as he struggled to climb out. The boy gasped, "You activated the guardian path." The pillars helped those with a pure heart. Ethan didn't fully understand what he had done, but he knew this was his chance. He sprinted back toward the mother and child, guiding them to the next platform. The glowing lines on the floor rearranged themselves, forming a clear route forward. But the hunter pulled himself free with a violent roar. His armor scratched, his helmet cracked, his rage burning hotter than his weapon. "You cannot escape me," he shouted. He fired again, and a blast hit one of the ancient pillars, causing it to explode in a shower of glowing dust. The explosion echoed like thunder. The mother clutched Ethan's shoulder weakly, her voice trembling. "We must reach the inner sanctuary. Only there the guardians cannot enter. Only there we can heal." Her skin grew pale, and Ethan could feel her heartbeat weakening. They had no time left. If they didn't reach safety soon, the mother would die. The platforms ahead shifted, forming a staircase that led upward through an arch of shining light. The child pointed. "That way. Human, that is the path." Ethan nodded and hurried upward, though each step felt heavier than the last. His poisoned hand was turning purple now, and his arm felt numb, but the boy's small hand gripping his sleeve kept him moving. Behind them, the hunter leaped onto the staircase, his weapon glowing dangerously bright. The chamber reacted instantly to the threat. The pillars flashed red, and a deep roar filled the room as ancient guardians rose once again from the floors below. But this time, the guardians did not aim at Ethan. They aimed at the hunter alone. Massive stone arms swung at him. Spears of blue energy shot toward his armor, forcing him back step by step. He blocked one strike, dodged another. But the guardians were relentless still. He kept chasing, refusing to give up. His voice echoed behind them. "You can run, but you cannot hide." Ethan reached the top of the staircase and entered a smaller, circular chamber. The air felt warmer, calmer, and faint golden lights floated like dust in the air. It was completely different from the deadly trial chamber behind them. The inner sanctuary felt alive in a peaceful way, almost like a heart gently beating underwater. The mother whispered, "We are safe for a moment." She touched the glowing floor, and the golden lights gathered around her injured leg, beginning to heal the torn skin slowly. The boy knelt beside her, crying with relief. "Mom, you're getting better." Ethan leaned against the wall, finally letting out a long breath. His hand throbbed painfully, and he looked down to see dark purple veins spreading up his wrist. The poison was winning. The mother saw it too, her eyes widening in fear. "Human, the trap poison is fatal. You will die if we do not treat you soon." Ethan nodded weakly. "I figured," he whispered, but before anyone could speak more, the ground trembled violently. A loud metallic roar shook the entire sanctuary. The hunter had broken through the guardians. He was coming, and this time, nothing would stop him. Ethan stepped forward again, ready to face him, even if the poison took his strength, even if he had no weapon. He would protect the mother and child until his last breath. The Podi. Next moment would decide fate, not just for him, but for the entire alien tribe that needed their leader alive. And Ethan knew he could not fail. The inner sanctuary shook again as the hunter's furious steps approached. The peaceful golden lights in the air flickered like frightened fireflies. Sensing danger, Ethan stood near the entrance, his body weak, his poisoned hand trembling, but his eyes sharp with determination. The mother tried to rise, but her healing was not complete, and she fell back with a pained cry. The child grabbed her hand tightly, whispering, "Human will protect us. He will." Ethan heard the boy's voice and felt a surge of strength that pushed back the numbness spreading through his arm. He clenched his jaw and whispered to himself, "Just a little longer." Then the metal doorway exploded inward. The hunter stepped through, covered in dust and smoke. Armor scratched and cracked from the guardian fights, but his weapon still glowed bright red, humming with deadly power. His eyes locked on the alien mother, then on the boy, and finally on Ethan. "You should have walked away, human," the hunter growled. "You chose their fate." Ethan stepped forward, blocking the path. "You want them. You go through me," he said calmly. The hunter raised his weapon. Gladly, he fired a blast straight at Ethan. Ethan jumped aside, but the blast grazed his shoulder, sending him crashing into the stone floor. Pain shot through his body, and the poison pulsed stronger in his veins. The child screamed, "Human!" Ethan forced himself to stand, breathing hard, wiping dust from his face. He saw the hunter walking toward the mother again, slow and cruel, confident in his victory. Ethan grabbed a broken piece of stone from the ground and threw it with all his strength. The stone hit the hunter's helmet, cracking it further. The hunter stopped, turned, and growled like an animal. "I will enjoy killing you first." He rushed toward Ethan with terrifying speed. Ethan managed to dodge the first strike, but stumbled as his poisoned hand failed him. The hunter grabbed him by the neck, lifting him effortlessly off the ground. Ethan gasped for air, kicking weakly. Feeling the world blur around him, the boy cried out, "Please, let him go." The hunter turned his head slightly. Quiet little creature. He raised his weapon to finish Ethan. But suddenly, the golden lights in the sanctuary reacted to the danger. They swirled around Ethan's body, glowing brighter. As if protecting him, the hunter hesitated, confused. Ethan felt warmth spreading through his chest light, not poison. The sanctuary recognized him. It accepted him as worthy. A bright pulse of golden energy burst outward from Ethan's body. It pushed the hunter back, making him drop Ethan to the floor. The hunter staggered, shouting in anger, "What magic is this?" Ethan coughed, trying to catch his breath. He looked down and saw the golden energy forming a faint pattern on his chest, the mark of a protector. The sanctuary was giving him strength, using the courage in his heart as fuel. The hunter roared. Again in charge, Ethan stepped aside, faster than before, fueled by the sanctuary's power. He punched the hunter's cracked helmet with his good hand, sending sparks flying. The hunter swung his weapon wildly, but Ethan ducked under the strike and delivered a hard kick to his chest. The hunter fell back, shocked by the sudden strength. In the human he thought was dying, but the sanctuary's gift was limited. Already the golden glow around Ethan began to dim. He had only moments before the poison overwhelmed him again. The child saw this and screamed, "Use the snare. The trap you broke, use it against him." Ethan's eyes widened. The broken snare, the one that injured the mother, still hung loosely from a strap on the hunter's belt. The child was right. The hunter's own cruel tool could end him. Ethan rushed forward while the hunter recovered with a burst of strength. He grabbed the snare and yanked it free from the belt. The hunter swung his arm at Ethan, but Ethan ducked and wrapped the snare around the hunter's wrist. The hunter paused, confused. Ethan hit the release panel, the same one that poisoned him. The snare's metal jaws shot open and then snapped shut instantly. But this time, they locked around the hunter's arm. sinking deep through armor and into flesh. The hunter screamed in rage and pain. The poison spread fast into his veins, faster than it did to Ethan. Because of the hunter's alien biology, his legs shook, his weapon fell from his hand, and his body trembled violently. "You, human," the hunter growled, voice fading. "This is not over." Then he collapsed onto the sanctuary floor, defeated. The snare's poison finished its work. The threat was gone. Ethan staggered backward, breathing heavily. The golden lights flickered around him again, trying to heal him, but the poison in his veins was too strong. He fell to one knee, his vision blurring. The boy ran to him, crying, "Human, please stay awake." "Please." The mother reached out her hand weakly, whispering, "Bring here, quick." They dragged Ethan toward the center of the sanctuary, where the healing light was strongest. The mother placed her hand on the floor symbol, activating the ancient power. Golden light covered Ethan completely, wrapping him like a warm blanket. He closed his eyes as the world faded away, unsure if he would wake again. The fate of the human, the fate of the mother, the fate of the child, all waited for what would happen next. The golden healing light wrapped around Ethan's body, like gentle sunlight, warm and soft, yet strong enough to shake the poison inside him. He lay still on the smooth sanctuary floor, eyes closed, breathing shallow, his skin turning pale as the poison fought against the ancient power. The alien mother placed her glowing hand on his chest, whispering old tribal words, each one filled with gratitude and hope. The child knelt beside Ethan, clutching his limp hand tightly, tears sliding down his cheeks. "Please don't die. Please don't leave us." Slowly, the sanctuary responded to their voices. The golden lights grew brighter, swirling faster, wrapping around Ethan like spinning stars. The ground beneath him glowed with deep patterned symbols of protection, courage, and life. The mother's voice grew stronger as she chanted, using the last of her strength to guide the ancient healing power. Minutes passed like hours. The poison inside Ethan's body burned fiercely, fighting back like a living storm. His fingers twitched, his jaw tightened, and his breathing grew rough. But the golden light refused to let go. It pushed deeper, forcing the poison toward the surface. The child gasped as thin trails of purple smoke rose from Ethan's wounded hand. The poison left his veins, lifting into the air and dissolving into the golden glow around them. Ethan's body jerked once, then finally relaxed. For a moment, the sanctuary grew quiet, and even the air seemed to hold its breath. Then Ethan opened his eyes, slowly at first. Blinking against the light, the child let out a joyful cry, throwing his arms around Ethan. "You're alive. Human, you're alive." Ethan smiled weakly, placing his hand on the boy's head. "Told you I'd try." The mother leaned forward, her eyes filled with relief. "You saved us, and now you are saved too." Ethan sat up with effort, looking around the glowing room. Realizing how close he had done to death, he looked at the mother and child, feeling warmth spread through his chest at the sight of them safe and alive. "You both okay?" he asked softly. The mother nodded. "Because of you." "Yes," but the sanctuary lights flickered again, this time not from danger, but from recognition. The symbols on the floor pulsed beneath Ethan's feet, forming a circle of light. The mother watched in awe, whispering, "The sanctuary accepts. You are one of us now." The child's eyes sparkled with excitement. "That means you're a protector, a true guardian of our tribe." Ethan blinked in surprise, looking down as the golden light formed a glowing mark on his hand, the same mark ancient leaders carried. He touched it gently, feeling warmth spread through his skin. I don't know what to say." The mother smiled weakly. "Say nothing. Destiny has spoken for you." Her tribe's ancestors had chosen him, a human, to carry a responsibility rarely given to outsiders. As the sanctuary doors slowly opened again, sunlight poured in, warm and inviting. Outside, A vast valley stretched before them, green fields, crystal rivers, tall glowing trees. The mother explained softly, "This is our homeland, hidden for centuries from the hunters." The child tugged Ethan's arm, smiling brightly. "Come, I want to show you everything." Ethan stood, still weak but filled with new strength. He walked out with the mother and child, stepping into the open valley, feeling wind brush against his face. Other members of the alien tribe began emerging from hidden shelters, their eyes widening in shock at the sight of a human carrying the sacred protector's mark. Whispers spread through the valley like gentle waves. "The sanctuary chose him, the human. He saved our leader. He saved the child." An elder approached, his long silver staff glowing softly. He bowed deeply before Ethan. "Human of great courage, you have proven yourself more worthy than warriors born of our own blood." Ethan rubbed the back of his neck awkwardly. "I just did what felt right," the elder smiled. "Exactly. That is what makes you worthy." The tribe gathered around the mother, celebrating her survival and the defeat of the savage hunter. The child stayed close to Ethan, refusing to leave his side even for a moment. He held Ethan's hand tightly, looking up with admiration. "Will you stay with us, please? Mother will need your help. And I don't want you to go." Ethan looked out at the peaceful valley, then at the mother, then at the boy. He felt something warm settle inside him, something he hadn't felt in a long time. Belonging. He smiled gently, ruffling the boy's hair. "Yeah, I think I'll stay for a while." The tribe cheered softly as Ethan stepped forward. A human, once a simple traveler, now chosen by ancient power, trusted by an alien people, loved by a child he saved. The sun rose higher, bathing the valley in golden light. A new beginning. A new family. A new destiny written among stars and kindness. And Ethan knew, with all his heart, his journey had only just begun.